Everybody wants a great recommendation. What qualifies a great recommendation? What's in a really good rec? Well, I think good recs tell a story. You see a pattern? Tells a good story. And a good story is one that's personal. It's one that's flecked with details about you, specifically how you learn, how you've grown, how you're funny, how you're serious. But how can we create that? How can we pull that out of our teachers? Isn't it so funny? You spend 3 years writing for teachers, but the most important essay might be the one your teacher writes for you. It's kind of ironic. So how do we prepare the ground to get something really good to grow? And that's where keywords come into play. Remember way back when I told you, as you were doing your thought experiments, that you should publish them, meaning you should talk about them, meaning you should bring them into school, sit down your teachers and say, listen, I'm trying to answer the question, who am I? Because I know the question, who am I, is important into getting into college. I know it's more important than grades. I know it's more important than scores. If I know who I am, colleges can see me for who I am, and they'll accept me. And then you can get your teacher's feedback. See, that's how you get a good recommendation. You don't get a good recommendation by saying pretty please. You don't get a good recommendation by putting, the request for recommendation in an envelope, and that envelope with a bunch of cash, and that envelope and a bunch of cash in a giant fruit basket. I mean, it wouldn't hurt. The real way you get a good recommendation is to include a teacher early. Okay? Sit down with a teacher you know. A lot of kids, they think, oh, I'll just go to my English teachers because English teachers write. Well, guess what? Studies have shown that nearly 99% of your teachers are literate. That means they all can read and write. Well, most of them. So you need to sit your favorite one down. Your favorite one who knows you as a person and as a student. You need to show them your thought experiments. You need to actually honestly solicit their responses. Okay? And that's going to prepare you for getting a great recommendation because it's going to prepare them for writing one. They're going to see that you're serious. And they're also going to see an insight into your character. And more importantly, they're going to be keyed in to your key words. Even if they never mention them. Even if they never talk about your key words or your essay. It's going to be in their mind. And it's going to work through their essay. And even subconsciously, your recommendation is going to fit snugly in, like a puzzle piece, with the rest of your application. Okay? That's how keywords direct and organize all the elements of the personality section of your application. The first and most important is that every essay prompt in the world, no matter how it's worded, no matter whether it asks you about your favorite book or an interesting professor or someone who's influenced your life a lot, every essay prompt is really asking one question, and it's a question you are already familiar with. It is the question of who are you? Not what you've done, but who are you? Not who you've met, but who are you? Not what you want to do, but who are you right now? And that's the beauty of the keywords. Because that's the hard work and you've already done it. You have already done it. Because the prompt, the specific question, is just providing you a framework. It's just giving you a direction. You've already plotted it out. You've already mapped it out. You've already selected the anecdotes, the little stories that illustrate your character. You've already come up with those. You've already been scribbling away for weeks about that. Now you just have to write it out. You just have to flesh it out. Makes it awful easy, doesn't it? And it makes it compelling. Remember, as you go through your essay, make sure, at least at the end, you relate it back. And what are we relating it back to? We're relating it back to the things that Wanda cares about. Those are the institutional biases. Those are you committed to growth? Are you intellectually curious? Are you devoted to diversity in the wider world? If you can do all that, if you can tell a story about yourself that illuminates your personality, that makes you different, if you can answer a question by answering who you are, and you can relate it back to the institution and who the institution believes it is, you've got it knocked. The whole essay, licked. Let's watch as I explain how keywords can also open up the world of your resume and make it 1,000 times better than you ever possibly think it could be. I often say to my students, I say, everything you think matters about college admission matters a whole lot less than you think. What do I mean by that? Well, most students, they go into this college admissions process and they try to raise their grades and spike their SAT scores. They try their hardest and it doesn't work. It won't work. Not because they're not trying hard, but because it can't work. What do I mean by that? Well, let's talk about grades. Grades. You can't raise your grades because there's a mathematical law against it. It's called the law of averages. It's one of the theorems of nature. It took you 3 years to build your GPA. 3 years. How can you expect to raise it in a month, a semester, a day? It's not going to happen. It takes time. It takes time. Oh, your SATs. Now, no one likes to hear this. Students don't like to hear this. Schools don't like to hear it. And the fancy test prep companies, they certainly don't like to hear it either. But the fact of the matter is, it's very difficult to raise your SATs. What do I mean by that? Well, you heard me in the talk. You heard me in the talk. And what did I say? I said that juniors who retake the test as seniors, on average, go up only 40 points. 40 points. That's the college match, the author of the SAT, the grader of the SAT. That's what they say, 40 points. Now, that might sound like something. It's not much, but at least it's something. But is it? When you consider that most educators peg the margin of error of the SAT at 60 points? That means if you go up anything, it's inconsequential. Inconsequential. It doesn't matter. So if there's a law of nature against raising your grades quickly, and the statistics forbid you from raising your SAT fast, what are you to do? What is left to do? Not grades, not scores. That leaves personality. I want to save you from a big mistake most students make. Most students make a huge mistake when they start to apply to college. They make a huge mistake by starting to apply to college by applying to college. You didn't hear me wrong. I'm going to repeat that. Most students make a mistake by starting to apply to college by applying to college. What do I mean by that? I mean that before you pick up an application, before you ask for a recommendation, before you assemble a resume, before you submit any scores, before you even look at a Common App, there's something you need to do. There's something you have to do before any of that. And that's coming up with your keywords. I call them keywords not only because they unlock the gate of any university. Don't you just like hearing that? Unlock the gate of any university. That's incredible. I call them keywords also because they make writing your application easy. They make it easy. They make the essay easy. They make creating a resume easy. They make asking for and getting great recommendations easy. But here's the hard part. How do you come up with great keywords? Easy. I have 3 thought experiments. What is a thought experiment? Well, I call them thought experiments because they're little things you can do. You can do them in the car. You can do them on a pad of paper. You can actually do them on your phone in the note-taking section. They're little things you can do repeatedly to get different results. They're 3 thought experiments. It's not writing an essay. It's not doing a math problem. It'll take a couple seconds max. 3 thought experiments. And if you do them and do them regularly, not only will you get the best keywords you possibly can, I promise you, you'll never think yourself as boring ever again.